from Cutting Room to the Red Carpet, moderated by our very favorite Margot Knack from Adobe. And our panelists are Heather Capps from Portlandia, Nina Erb from Insecure, Robert Fisher, ACE, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Eric Kissack, The Good Place, and Cindy Malo, Ozark.
Hey, these are on. This is also one of my favorite parts of the entire year. I love sitting here and talking with all these highly accomplished and very esteemed editors, and it's nice to meet those of you that I didn't meet this morning in person because we've chatted on the phone. So yeah, all of the editors here on our panel have been nominated or have won awards for their editing. So we're going to go one by one, and we're going to screen some clips from each of their nominated or winning shows or films in certain cases. And then we're going to have them talk about the clip itself and why they chose it and why it's representative of their work on that particular project. So we are going to start with Heather. I just realized we're going in alphabetical order, which is kind of exciting. So Heather, you're first. So we're going to show a clip from Portlandia, of which Heather is one of the editors who has worked on that show, which is now sadly no more.
Oh, rest in peace.
I know. I still mourn its demise. So Portlandia airs on IFC. How many seasons was it on?
For 8 seasons.
8 seasons. And so we'll start with Heather's Portlandia clip. So please roll that clip. So clearly, for those of you who aren't familiar with Portlandia, it's a real weird show. And Heather, talk a little bit about why you picked that clip in particular.
I picked that clip because it goes through a lot in 4 minutes. It goes through like elements of a comedy, a drama, a rom-com, and a little bit of a horror at the end. And I thought it was a really good representation of how fast the show moves. And it was just showing classic characters in a kind of elevated way that I liked a lot. But it was really, really hard to pick a clip for this panel because the way that we go about sketches on Portlandia is really different for each sketch. And some of them are more scripted, and a lot of them are almost completely improv.
What was this one? Was it a lot of improv? Was this one primarily they stuck to a script?
This was for the surgery, the surgery and the camping aspects. That was mainly scripted. Mm-hmm. Anything that involved the doctor, his lines are so insane that you have no choice but to go with it. And that's a really exciting part of it. Is there's like a very you have to be very open-minded to what that sketch wants to be, because we have a script, and the script is really helpful because it helps shape or frame what you're supposed to go for, but someone may go off on a completely different tangent, and you need to be open-minded to be like, that's the funniest thing. Right. And so it was just really cool, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you're right, that goes through so many different feelings and emotions, and there's hilarious parts and sort of horrifying parts. When you're in the edit, the rhythm of these moments is really important. Like, yeah. How much are you working and reworking on the rhythm of a skit like that?
Ooh, that's a hard question. So it's funny. The rhythm is we kind of, Portlandia is weird because it's not necessarily, we're not always trying to help the joke. Sometimes we also like to throw it under the bus. So there's a lot of fun stuff in post that we get to do, where the rules of Portlandia and like how the universe works is really cartoony, and it's essentially just like Looney Tunes and Ren and Stimpy. And so rhythmically, it's all over the place, mm-hmm. which is really fun. I mean, that's like, we can have like really snappy, beady moments, but it's also like, in that clip, it's nice to just see that doctor have a really slow turnaround to the door. So we're like, sometimes you just like, it's just, you find what makes you laugh in the footage, and then you just kind of figure out how to link it and keep that element that you really liked about it.
Yeah, I like you're drawing the parallel with like Looney Tunes and cartoons. That totally makes sense to me now that you've mentioned. I'm like, yeah, it is very cartoonish. Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to our second clip. So, Nina, we're going to show your clip. This is Nina Erb. She's one of the editors on Insecure, which is a hugely popular show on HBO. It's a fantastic show, and so we're going to show a clip from Insecure, and then we'll have Nina talk a bit about it.
Great.
So, Nina, this obviously is also comedy, but in a very different way. And this scene, as we talked about before a couple days ago, it's primarily an internal dialogue.
Yes, yes. The entire episode pretty much takes place in her head because she is kind of second-guessing herself, wondering what she did wrong. And so, she's just kind of analyzing everything she's done. Like, why? Like, he must be dating somebody else. Why is he not calling me back? And so I kind of picked this because it's such a departure from the series. They haven't used internal dialogue since the pilot. And there's that whole mystery suspense element to this episode that doesn't exist anywhere else in this series so far. And so the challenge was kind of, how do you maintain the style of the show when you have such a outlier episode? So like you have to serve as a story that's kind of wacky, but also maintain the style and the signature and the language of the series. So Insecure is kind of known for their music and their unconventional shot composition. And so I kind of just used that to establish the framework in the beginning of the episode. The music was very much in the language of the series. And then as the scene that we saw was kind of like at the height of her mania. And so the music would change. And then after, we didn't see the scene, but after she gets caught, the music kind of, her friend snaps her out of it, and the music kind of returns to what we're used to hearing for the show. So it was interesting trying to make it unique, stand on its own, but yet fit.
Yeah, you did a great job of portraying that mania and that tension, right, that exists between her having this weird, set of feelings and then the outside world. At any minute, right, her friend's going to walk through that door, or like she's going to find the girlfriend on Instagram or something. Right. And so there's always this tension between what's going on in her inner world and then what's going on in the outer world.
Yeah, I'm glad it came through.
Yeah. When you were cutting this episode, I'm assuming you sort of read the script and you know what the arc is going to be. How much freedom do you have when you're actually figuring out how you're going to portray something like that that's so internal?
Well, there's a couple of ways that I thought this could play out. We can, again, play it so it's very observational, where you hang back a little wider and you kind of observe what's happening. But I felt like if I took that approach, it kind of kept me on the outside looking in, and I kind of really wanted to put people in her head. So we used the helmet cam, which Issa wore herself, because that really showed like the paranoia and how myopic and just insane she was getting.
Yeah, like that shot of her hands like headed towards the keyboard.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh.
It's like, don't go there, girl. Yeah. Yeah.
And I also noticed there were a lot of really quick cuts, right? Like between the door and then the room and then back to her, and it's kind of building that tension where she's just going full blown in a stalker mode.
Yeah. And each cut was supposed to reflect a different voice. Like there's like angry Issa, there's innocent Issa, there's shade Issa. So yeah, I was trying to give each one its own little angle, I guess.
Yeah. Terrific. Well, we'll talk some more after we get through everyone else's clips, because there's so many questions I have. We're going to talk with Bob Fisher, who is down at the end, who is the editor of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which was a fantastic film, so innovative. And so we're going to watch a clip from that. Or did you have two clips, Robert?
There's two.
Okay, two clips. And then we'll talk to you about your job editing Into the Spider-Verse. So roll those clips.